Hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, and Kazooie, can you just knock it off please? Anyway, hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I am called back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64/Xbox Live Arcade. So last time we have managed to able to start the game off by able to explore around on the forms of Spiral Mountain to get used to with the actual tutorials and all that stuff, but since we don't have to force to deal with a tutorial or anything else like that, so in this case though we pretty much guarantee that we pretty much got this. So today, for this episode, is the fact that we are going to be hit on to the very first world in Banjo-Kazooie. That's what appears to be by the forms of Mumbo's Mountain. So because of this though, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this though. So even then though, yeah, let's just begin the forms of the first world in Banjo-Kazooie, Mumbo's Mountain. So because of this though, yeah, we're going to be now going to be doing a lot of exploration going on. So because of this though, other sort of collectibles that we might able to come across into, as you can see on screen, we stumbled across Jinjos, and Jinjos are going to be important in this game. In addition to that, we're also going to be able to come across into ourselves these little skull-looking objects, which appears to be known as Mumbo tokens. And these Mumbo tokens are also very important as well, due to the fact that some of these Jiggies that you might find, that it does require specific objectives. Like, for instance, each world does contain 10 Jiggies each world. So because of this though, making it a grand total of like, well, at least if you want to include the actual main hub world, which is of course grand totals later. So in this case, they'll give us a grand total of 100 Jiggies in the entire game. So as to be expected, we're able to go for the 100% completion, of course. So in this case though, everything else will be self-explanatory for the most part. So yeah, Mumbo's Mountain is probably by far the easiest world in the game, because obviously with the forms of some of these not so much traps or anything else to be more specific, and also there's going to be quite a few enemies around here, but I honestly find this to be not much of a troublesome at all. So anyway, some of these objectives when it comes to the forms of obtaining the Jiggies, like for instance the first one we actually got is to acquire Congo, managed to able to toss these little oranges in those orange panels, as you can see. So in this case we had to do this like 3 times, and there's also another objective as well. Like as you can tell, I've managed to obtain one of those oranges from the actual orange tree, and basically I have to take it right where the chimp is. Now if you're probably wondering, where's the chimp? Well, if you go and just go over there, and then basically if you find a chimp, then you would able to give the orange to him. So because of this though, not only does he able to give you a Jiggy and stuff like that, but also you would able to actually access to the next portion of the world. So yeah, because of this though, that's the thing I really loved about this game, because of the forms of how the fact there's going to be a lot of exploration, in addition with plenty of emphasis on collectibles that we can able to get. And as you can see, that we actually come across into the first molehill, which again, it does requires some new moves to the mix. Like for instance, the first move we actually come across into in this world is the ability that Banjo and Kazooie can able to now utilize with the forms of those blue eggs. Like for instance, you can either shoot them or shoot from behind, well usually shoot from the front or from the bottom. So it really depending on the forms of the actual objective scenario. So because of this though, in this next objective we have to basically just shoot those blue eggs right at the forms of Congo the gorilla. So in this case though, it's just, you know, you have to do this like 3 times. So another sort of objectives that you might able to come across into is these boss fights, which technically this game does have boss fights, but usually, relatively speaking, it doesn't give us a title card or anything else like that, unlike Banjo-Tooie does manage to give us a title card for each bosses. So because of this though, yeah, the first technical boss fight is pretty easy when you get the hang of this though. So you have to shoot, you know, blue X that in 3 times, and that's all you have to do here. So, another sort of objectives we can able to come across into is these puzzle solving stuff. In addition to that, self-explanatory, find the jiggy and stuff like that. And most importantly of them all though, is definitely by the forms of finding 5 different colored Jinjos. And basically, there are 5 colors of Jinjos in each world, so it's very important that we do need to able to find them, because otherwise if you don't, well, specifically if you ever played the original version of the game on the Nintendo 64, because here's the thing about this though, actually I'll get into more details about that whenever we get on to next Tuesday. Because of this though, today's day is of course the 13th of May today, in this case in 2021, and it looks like we've almost nearly at the, well, the halfway point in terms of, well, May already. So because of this, though, I have no idea why some of these parts goes by very, very quick. But anyway, and here's my favorite ability in the entire game, which appears to be by forms of Talent Rod. Basically, you weren't able to actually take control of Kazooie, while Kazooie just managed to able to give Banjo some sort of like a piggyback ride. And basically, not only can you able to actually just able to making some of the platforming sections pretty easy, but also get this, is that you might actually run a little bit faster. So because of this though, easy without doubt my favorite ability in the entire game, or my favorite move, I should say, in the entire game, along with Banjo-Kazooie as well, just because obviously you can able to do all sorts of stuff with Talent Rod. So yeah, definitely recommendable move right there. Especially noticeable because I've seen a lot of speedruns of this game so far. Like, it doesn't matter if it's on the Nintendo 64 version, or the Xbox 360 version, or the Xbox One version, or even Xbox Series X version, which is pretty much the same thing. So, usually, relatively speaking, is the fact that I've managed able to actually just to watch a whole bunch of well, speedruns ranging from, you know, clipping through stuff, and especially noticeable skip so many worlds, and yeah, you probably name the rest. But unfortunately though, I can't seem to able to do the forms of speedrun tactics like I was about to be doing. But oh well, begging cells can't be choosers, I suppose, but either way, you probably get the idea about that. So, excuse me, I ate some chili dogs at this point, guys. I do apologize for that. So, anyway, a few things I want to explain, and as you can tell, that we actually come across into another move, which appears to be some sort of like a similar to the ground pound technique, like in Super Mario 64, like, except the fact that, well, basically it's down to, like, you know, bash certain things. Well, I have no idea why I'm saying things like that recently, but then again though, it has been a while since I actually did done some commentary and all that, so... And of course, eventually, that we are able to come across into ourselves these extra honeycomb pieces as soon as we're able to actually just to find them. Like, I believe in each world, basically, it'll expect to able to actually just to get like 2 honeycomb extra pieces at a time. So if you do manage to be able to grab, you know, 6 of them, then your health extension will increase. So, in this case though, as I said this before, I will do the 100% completion of this Let's Play. So because of this though, and take this part for instance, that we need to just grab that, and then basically... although if you made several mistakes, if you do somehow manage to get rid of those little time and pole things kind of scenario, basically if you manage to leave the level and go back into the actual level again, thankfully some of these parts will respawn. So because of this though, you do have multiple chances. So, and I believe there's also another honeycomb piece in here, so I think we've actually got all 2 of them. So, I think we should be all set when it comes to the forms of, well, for the most part, basically. So, yeah, with those Mumbo tokens, as you can tell, that I keep on collecting, well, as you can tell, I've actually grabbed 4 of them so far, meaning about the fact that, you know, with the Mumbo tokens, is actually important when it comes to several of objectives. Mainly, for instance, for example, that as you can tell, that the several of enemies that may actually include is something related to termites and all that stuff. Meaning about the fact that we do need to transform into any other kinds of transformations, which we'll talk more about that whenever we're able to continue our progressioning for this world. So because of this though, again, this world is very simple when you get the hang of this though, especially noticeable to get used to with the actual moves, as well as controls, and you name the rest. So, But I digress. It's a very great starting location, or this the greatest first level in the game, just because it's almost like iconic and everything. So you probably get the suggestion by that point. So I think I get the feeling there's the last Jinjo somewhere around in this little slanted area. So, but yeah, as you can see, I've managed to grab all 5 of those multicolored Jinjos. Basically, it'll give me a Jiggy. So yeah, that's super important if you really want to 100% for everything. Or alternatively, you can able to actually just do, well, I would say, well, it's kind of hard to explain because I know for a fact there has been quite a few days actually since I actually did manage to touch this game on Xbox Series X, because I did manage to able to play that for the first time whenever I meet up with Shadow and stuff like that, despite the forms of he always gets like bad temper whenever he just goes like, don't touch it, or anything else like that, which I just have no idea why. I always have issues with Shadow. But anyway, yeah, that's about that. Oh yeah, exponentially, in some worlds throughout this game, basically we come across into a ground tool to switch. And basically, you do need to require a ground pound ability, by the way, in order to be able to activate those switches. And I'll show that off until later, because we're now going to be going inside Mumbo's hut, and because of this though, we meet up with Mumbo. Me, Mumbo, best Sherman in all game, can help Banjo and Filthy Feathered One. Watch it, hut boy. Mumbo's magic tokens hid by witch. Find tokens and Mumbo will help you. Or help you, I should say. Banjo has plenty tokens. Stand on skull and press X to see mighty Mumbo magic. Whilst if you ever played the N64 version, you simply press the, I would say a B button or something. But then again though, it has been a really long time since I actually played the N64 version of this game. But, I digress. Speaking of the Nintendo 64, until at some point until next month, the Nintendo 64 will be out until specifically for about 25 years ago. Well, at least when that, you know, the anniversary is about to due out in some form or another, but I digress. So as you can see, we managed to come across into our transformations, specifically the first transformation we actually come across, and as you can see, we now transformed into a termite. Which, if you remember from the likes of, well, those enemies as you can see right there, that's what the enemies are based off from. So, and as you can see, we actually come across into ourselves 100 musical notes that we actually collected. And, again, musical notes can be very important, especially noticeable when it comes to likely to progress through some of the portions of the game. Mainly, for example, that you notice about the fact that, oh, and by the way, there's that another item, as you can see, I've managed to collect it, which to me, though, is the most pointless item in the game, in my opinion, which appears to be those little 1-up statues. And basically, what that does is that it gives you 1-up, which, I'm fine with that, but usually, it just feels kind of pointless on the Xbox Live Arcade version, although I understand on the N64 version because, well, then again though, enjoying at some point until next Tuesday, I would talk more about it until then. But before we're done with this though, there's a Jiggy that is on top of that mountain, which does requires a termite transformation right here. So just in case, you can able to actually scale up on the mountains quite easily. So whilst compared to normal Banjo and Kazooie transformation cannot. So, and by the way, if you do leave the worlds likely far away, basically it's the fact that this allows you to able to transform back into its normal self, mainly with like Banjo and Kazooie and stuff like that. So yeah, you probably get the idea for that. So anyway, let's just go ahead and jump all the way to that little note doors, as you can see. So yeah, with these note doors, as you can see, you do need to acquire the ridiculous amount of musical notes that you have to collect. Like, for example, the first one we do need to be able to deactivate is by simply we need to collect about 50 musical notes. And that's all you really have to do. So, eventually in the continuation progression on this game, the number of doors with the forms of those little, musical notes counts will start to increase. So, yeah, it's probably best if we're able to explore well enough if you really want to 100% for everything. While I did manage to play this game loads of times in the past, lately on the N64 version, so at least I was expecting if I was able to try my best to able to look for something. So, but I digress. Oh yeah, sometimes Grand Turtle will occasionally decide to go ahead and interrupt you whenever they decide to, if you manage to able to continue your progressioning in Grand Turtle's lair, but usually because of this though, she always loves to do that. So anyways, let's insert 2 of those jiggies onto that next picture, and basically this all allows us to unlock the next world, which appears to be Treasure Trove Cove. Oh man, I'm looking forward to able to explore that world, which we'll talk more about that until then. Hello there, young ones, and I am Pandaletta, and I do apologize for that pronunciation dialogue for the sake of time, because I know I was going to mention about the forms of those text boxes here and there, but basically you do come across into the forms of this little fairy character right there, which again I do apologize for what the actual her name was, which I do apologize for that. In fact, let me know in the comments. So basically, she's quite important if you really want to able to rescue 2D and stuff like that, which because of this though, you do need to talk to her, because otherwise she'll be able to mention to you about several secrets of what Grand Turtle looks like. So because of this though, she actually uses the tuna ice cream to brush her teeth. Oh gosh, that might be sounds way too smelly. And if we ask her again, then she'll mention another secret, which is hunt steak milk. Oh jeez. And finally, she gets her clothes from Shaggy Maggie's boutique, and that's about it. So, yeah, I think you do need to able to find 3 of those different secrets when it comes to Grand Turtle secrets. So, but again, it will be very important until at the very end of the game. So because of that, though, it's mandatory as well. So, anyways, I think suffice to say, there's not much else I can honestly try to talk about for this point, guys. I know it seems kind of, you know, kind of short and stuff, but anyway, I'm gonna have to end things off here. So join me next time on Let's Play Banjo-Kazooie, so we'll head on to Treasure Trove Cove. So I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Later, fellas.